Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you a new product that I just got that I have never used before, but I've heard a lot about it on social media and other artists that are using it. And it is the slice tool. The one that I'm going to use today is the craft cutter. I got it off of the slice.com site itself and ordered a kit. And you can get either single blades or you can get them in a kit. And I have basically gone back to a couple old drawings. So I did this one, I don't know, 5 years ago. And it's been sitting in a portfolio thing. And I was like, well, I wonder what it would do with the feathers that I tried to use, the whites to make the highlights or other methods. But I think with this tool, it's going to make a world of difference on those tiny details that sometimes are just almost impossible to get when you don't have the right, tools or methods when you approach it at the time. So like I said, I did this a million years ago, and let me just zoom in here. I'm going to go to maybe some of these feathers here. And this was on the Fabriano Artistico traditional white 140-pound hot press paper. So I'm sure with the tools, just like sometimes I would use an X-Acto knife if there's enough pigment down there to take some of the pigment away. But with these, they're ceramic. And they basically are much less abrasive to the paper as well. And you don't have to constantly replace the blades, which is something that is definitely attractive to a lot of artists. Sometimes the blades are a little bit too aggressive with the paper. So let's try this one out. Oh, wow. And I'm barely pressing on this at all. And with enough pigment down there, oh my goodness. And when you look at feathers, how intricate those lines can be. So this is like world changing if, in my opinion. I think to do highlights or to get any of the detail that's, front and center on a subject, especially feathers. Feathers, fur, anything that you have close up, if you're doing like any animal portrait where you have those little furs right on the muzzle of the dog or the cat or whatever animal it may be. This might be one of the best tools, I think, to get clean, precise details without doing damage. Because you don't really have to press into the paper. I mean, you could press harder into the paper, but your goal is to push the pigment, not so much etch into the paper. And this is like the best of both worlds because you're able to do that, like I said, without damaging the paper. Because I'm barely pressing on this. I cannot believe the difference that makes. Let's try it up here. It's definitely going to, oh wow, that is pretty awesome. One place where this is going to work fantastic is see like the line where the skin of an animal meets the hairline or the fur, feather, whatever line it is of the animal, and separating that so it's not a bold line. So that way you can kind of push the color around so it has a smooth transition into each other. I mean, that's a lot of little things like this is really, the innovation of these sort of tools is what can really give an artist the push to be better and to get to that place that they want to get the detail. I mean, look at the difference there from what it just was before. Able to get this detail and push it along with like little to zero effort. You get the foundations down and then you have the tool to finesse the rest of the drawing and get all of the details that you need in. And this is, I mean, if I had known about this years ago and done this, then I probably would have approached a lot of my drawings differently. Like I said, this one is a very old drawing that I did when I first started getting into colored pencil, but I just wanted to kind of see, you know, what you can do now versus what I did then and how I could change it. So in the future, I think I'll be using these tools for a lot more than I was before. These are fantastic. I mean, it sounds like it's scraping, but it's really not. It's just pushing the pencil. It's not doing, you know, it's not damaging the paper really. Then there's a couple other ones I got. This one is the pen cutter. I haven't really used this one. And this one is the precision cutter. So I think, I don't know, this one, I'm not sure how this one works yet. I haven't really tried it. So let me do it this way here. You definitely want to flip around your drawing a lot because you don't want to keep it in one position because you want to get the flow of the strokes right. Oh, okay. So this one actually, I feel like this one pushes the pigment more than it almost slightly scrapes it like the other one. This one you can see it's a little bit more faded. So like when we did the other one, there was a clear white line behind it. This one I feel like pushes the main top piece or portions of the pigment off, but it leaves that faded undercolor there. So on this drawing at least. But again, you don't have to put any pressure on it. So see how it's kind of pushing? It's not like getting that super white line in there. So this would be great to do some of the initial like shadowing before you get to that detail when you have areas that you want to push out some of the pigment. So like, let's see. I mean, this drawing is very old. I'm not really too worried about it. I really just want to see how this tool works. So see how that just pushed all that pigment? And I can always draw it right back in. But see what that just did? That literally, it's almost like an eraser. I just took away that pigment with this tool without damaging the paper and without having erase marks and all of that mess. So that is amazing. So I'm going to push away some of this. I just want to show you what I mean. And then I can go right back in with a black pencil once I find, a brown one. And I can go back and add that color right back in. But say if you added too much color to an area, you can just go back and get rid of it. So I wanted to know what it was like on this paper with colored pencil. So now what I'm going to do is take an old pastel drawing that I did also a million years ago. And I want to see how it works on feathers on pastel mat with pastel pencil. So I've seen some artists use it on pastel, and I was always very interested to see how that would work. So let me turn this around here to an angle that would work. There we go. So, like I said, this is a very old drawing. It's one of my, actually probably my second pastel drawing ever. So now I can go back in, take some old drawings and see if I can, you know, finesse that detail a little bit. So I'm going to use actually, let me start with the, which one's this one? The pen cutter. Let's try it with this. Because this is mainly just going to push the pastel, I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's going to, it's not going to make any really big lines in there, but. Definitely gives you some detail. Oh, wow. That is pretty awesome. So again, that's going to be an awesome tool where you want to break up areas without having to go so detailed with the pencil. You can go in with the tool and start separating those fine pieces that kind of like flyaways that are down at the bottom. So that is pretty cool. And I mean, bird feathers have so much detail as it is. Let's see with the other one. This is the craft cutter. And be very light with it with a pastel if you're doing pastel. That's awesome. I mean, it may seem faint to you, but as a whole, when you start doing your drawings and then you step back from it, like this piece right here, like the fact that I can go back in and get that little tiny detail, it's really going to make a huge difference at the end of your drawing. I mean, just that little detail, I made it look softer, and right here. This was too much. It was kind of messy. Now I'm breaking it up into those fine little pieces. That's going to do huge things to artwork. And I think it's a brilliant tool. And I definitely recommend at least trying it on your own with, you don't have to do it on a drawing just yet. You can just put down some color and play around with the pressures and adjust as you need. But I mean, just as a whole, so there's like that drawing there. And I mean, see the difference just in a couple of these little sections here. I mean, a lot of the other ones are kind of flat, but you can go into the darker areas. You can start separating, pushing some of this pastel where it needs to go. It doesn't necessarily have to be for highlighting. I mean, it is in a sense, but it can be to start separating some of those blocks of color so your detail's correct. And I mean, when I did this one, I mean, you could see I did like a bunch of I used the white pencil to get all my little highlights in. And like places like this by the eye, I mean, look at that. You can get that little detail in. Oh, this might be my new favorite tool ever. Definitely going to be on my must-have list. This is kind of incredible. Let me zoom in on this part. All right, so where there's a lot of like fluffy kind of flyaway pieces here, just breaking that up. I mean, that's pretty awesome that you're able to do that. Pastel can be messy, but when you know that you have the detail and the tools to do that detail, it's going to make pastel a whole lot more fun for people. Because I never liked pastel until I found the pencils. When I found the pencils and I knew I could have a little bit more control, I was definitely more on board with it. And then I fell in love with it. But now that I know you don't have to just use a white pencil, you don't have to just use an eraser, this is a tool that is definitely going to change a lot of people's minds as far as, maybe what materials they want to use for certain subjects. So I am really, really excited about this tool. I hope, I'll leave the link in the description down below. I'll just leave the link of where I purchased it on the Slice website. And definitely don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any other ideas for tools or supplies you'd like me to try and demo to you, then definitely let me know and I will do that for you. And also check out my Patreon page where I have full-time, real-time tutorials of lots of colored pencil drawings, tips and tricks, and a lot of resources for beginners. So you can check that out on patreon.com/Christy Nicole Fine Art. Thank you guys for joining, and I will see you next time.